Come to water. All right. Bobbity. Mm-hmm. 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 All right, Shalom, Israel. How about Shem Yahshua, Brekatami, how was Shemal, from Bashem Yahshua, priest and officer, you die, hold it down till 12 Shield General Muhammad gets here. Now, if I could, we have to understand as the Lord's people, as blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, that this is the time right now that we have to get ourselves together. This is the time where we have to come out of the world, come out of America. I mean, take our head out of America. The problem is with our people, Aisha, is that we think that we free white in 21. We think that we can live like the oppressor, do everything like them, and think we can just go on and make it. No, we are nothing without our God. We are nothing, you know what I mean, without coming back into this fold, man, coming back into this truth. And if I could, the reason why we are so destroyed, like if you really look at our people today, I mean, it's because we're not doing what our God said to do, and everything that's going on around us, man. Like our people want to have, you know what I mean, the right, you know what I mean, answers for the questions that they have. Got World War III roaming around the corner. You know what I mean? You got, you know what I mean, inflation everywhere. You know what I mean? You see how the oppressors continue, you know what I mean, to murder us in the streets. We got to understand, man, the answers for all of this is very simple. And if you are a black, Latino, and First Nation man and woman, the answer to it is coming and changing your life. Becoming that new man, becoming that new woman that Christ intended by coming back into the UPK. I pray you understand. Now, if I could, let me get Jeremiah. Give me Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 6. A big problem that we have, man, is that we like to be up under the oppressor. Being up under the oppressor in that Christian church, being up under them Arabs in that Muslim mosque, and that has destroyed our people. Like they have no clue, you know what I mean, how detrimental Christianity and Islam have been to our people. Like we fall for any old thing. We fall for anything and hear anything, you know what I mean, from these so-called leaders, from your so-called pastors who have been lying to us since the beginning, telling us that God loves everybody. Like God does not love everybody. You cannot find that nowhere in the Bible. The problem is, man, we don't want to admit, you know what I mean, to understand, you know what I mean, that our God, who is our Father, you know what I mean, that the Most High God is a daddy, it's not a mommy. You know what I mean? You're not going to get coddled by mommy. The Most High is our Father. And because we disobeyed him, we've been punished. We have been punished. And guess what? To understand this as the Lord's chosen people, the reason why that we're in the conditions that we're in, and it's getting ready to explain. The Read the scripture that I called for. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 6.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 6.
Go ahead.
My people have been lost sheep.
The Lord said, my people have been lost sheep. Why are the Lord equating us to sheep, man? Because sheep require a shepherd. Blacks, Latinos, and First Nation men and women, we are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The Lord is saying, my people have been lost sheep, meaning we're the lost sheep. Like, you know how you know that we're the lost sheep? We fall for any old thing in that Christian church. Any old thing that the oppressor, the Africans, the Asians, whatever they pushing, you know what I mean? We fall for it. We can't continue, you know what I mean, to fall for the same old, same old. I pray you understand that. The Lord is saying, my people have been lost sheep, meaning we're lost in the soul. Everybody claims to be woke nowadays. You got this woke movement where everybody claims to be woke and conscious, while a lot of you brothers and sisters is fast asleep. Fast asleep. Like, you don't have no, and it's funny because you're trying to cling on to whatever African spirituality, whatever Egyptology, you know what I mean, or whatever Islam. That's why we're lost sheep, because you're not following after what our God said to do. Keep going. My people have been lost sheep.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. The shepherds have caused them to go astray. Who are our shepherds? T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. You know, I was looking at some online the other day. They was exposing Joel Osteen, and they say he paid himself somewhere around $100 million last year. And I'm like, whew, I wonder where that $100 million came from. Where do you think those millions of dollars come from that Joel Osteen and Creflo Dollar, you know what I mean, and the rest of them pastors get? You know how they become millionaires? They become millionaires off of our backs. Off of our backs. We give our hard-earned money, and a lot of us work hard, slaving hard here, everywhere in the world, man, everywhere on the earth. And you give that money to that pastor, that imam. You know what they do? I'll tell you what they do. They sniff coke. Some of them smoking crack. They smoking the good stuff, Quatazar. You know, Creflo and them pastors, they ain't smoking Reggie. They smoking loud packs. Being all the type of sexual deviance they can be. Making a fortune off of who? Off of us. Something I never understood while going to church. You know, growing up, my mother used to always say, I don't know how I'm going to pay this electric bill. And then she'd go down there in Southwest to get Pastor Ruffin her last $50. And I'd be like, that don't even make sense. Like, does that make sense to you? You go give your last 50. We barely getting by as it is. And you talking about, you don't know how you gonna pay this electric bill. Jesus gonna make a way. And you giving the last $50 you got, you know what I mean, to Pastor Ruffin. Meanwhile, my dad got to work 2 or 3 extra shifts just to make up that money and pay the bill. See the problem? The problem is our shepherds have led us astray. They led us astray. Right. They teach us what? What do you learn in the Christian church nowadays? Like, I genuinely want to know. It's a church next door. And every time I teach, especially on Thursdays, y'all been in here quite a while. Y'all know. They be singing, dancing, playing the tambourine. How about they don't go over not one scripture? Right. So what do they do in that church besides sing and dance and molest kids? You know what I mean? And steal our money. What do? Nothing. They're making out like fat rats. They've caused us to go astray, pushing lies to us that our King Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who the world ignorantly knows is Christ, Jesus Christ, as an oppressor, telling us that God is white, telling us, you know what I mean, that God loves everybody, that salvation is for everybody. Meanwhile, we're the ones that are on the bottom. We're the ones that are afflicted by these curses, man, because the Lord punished us because we are the children of Israel. Like, does that even make sense? That our God, who's punishing us, who's also going to give us the same reward after we come back to him, to our enemies that oppress us. That don't even make sense. It don't, because it's not going to happen. Our enemies have a reward that's going to happen. And it's the sword. It's famine. It's destruction. That's what's going to happen to our enemies. For they have caused us to go astray. Yes, our pastors have caused us to go astray. T.D. Jakes is not a man of God. Creflo Dollar, Joel Osteen, they are not men of God. Keep going.
They have turned them away on the mountain.
They have turned them away on the mountain. You know what the mountain is? Let's see who's been studying. What's the mountain that we've been turned away from? Oh, y'all knew the Bible last week. Now y'all don't know the Bible. Okay. These little troopers in here knew the Bible last week, but Wise. Now I'm gonna call on somebody. Oh, I shot. Okay. What's the mountain? No. Nope. What's the mountain? Mathum?
The land where the people are.
What land? What land in? Go ahead, Quadazar. Give him a hand. Zion. Jerusalem. That's the mountain that we've been turned away from. Meaning we've been turned away from our land. We've been turned away from Israel, from Jerusalem, from Zion. We've been turned away from that. How did we get turned away from that? Following after the philosophy of America. Following after America, which is Babylon, which is spiritually Egypt and Sodom. We've been turned away from our mountain. Keep going.
They have gone from mountain to hill.
They've gone from mountain to hills. What is the hills? We've gone from our mountain to the hills. The hills up Mataza what? No. You around that. You on to it. You on to it. You on to it. When it says from going from mountain to hills, meaning we fled, you know what I mean, from Zion going into the hills of these other nations. So I can accept that, but I'm looking for America. I'm looking for America. Like we put ourselves, you know what I mean, in America. Now we're following after America, Babylon. You could say Africa, following after Egypt. Following after every different religion, every different form of spirituality, but our own. We're going from mountain to hills. Meaning we're going to go see what this nation got, what that nation got, what that nation got. But we're the ones, you know what I mean, that the Lord gave life to. Meaning this, we're the ones that our God gave the commandments to. These other nations are jealous of that. They know it. They know it. Quatazar, give me in Judah. What is it, 5 and 20, iPod? Give me Judah. Quatazar, give me Judah 5 and 20. We got to understand, I'm a thumb hole, Leviticus 20 and 26. Now, you got to understand this. We're going from mountain to the hills. Read on.
They have forgotten their resting place.
We've forgotten our resting place. We forgot about our God. Forgot about Zion. Forgot about Jerusalem. Meaning this, now, and the scriptures say, this is not our rest. This is not our rest. How we going to find rest in a place where they put knees on our neck? How you going to find rest in a place where we're considered a hate group and we don't commit crimes? We don't murder nobody. We don't destroy nobody. We don't disenfranchise people. That's what the oppressor does. But they classify us, you know what I mean, as a hate group. They classify us as a hate group, and we're not. We're actually a love group. We love Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. We forgot our resting place. We forgot, you know what I mean, that when we have our rest, and how can you find rest in this place? As a Black man or woman, as a Latino man or woman, how the hell are we going to find rest in a place where we are constantly being oppressed? You're not. We've forgotten our resting place. We forgot how good we had it. Think about Adam and Eve, man. Think about how good they had it. How good they had it. And following after the other nations, right? Got kicked out of the garden, kicked out of our land. Now, we know what it's like. We know what the other side is. We know that the grass ain't greener on the other side. Now we have the knowledge of good and evil. When we should have just had the knowledge of good, of just knowing the good things. You know what I mean? The reward that our God gives us. Now we know the other side. And the other side is rough. We forgot our resting place because we hard-headed. That's why the scriptures call us, man, a stiff-necked people. We sure are. We sure are. Keep going. Read verse 7.
All that found them have devoured.
All that found them have devoured them. We've been devoured by these other nations. How you know we've been devoured by these other nations? If you go back home today after this class, you know what you're going to find in our communities? You're going to find Arab chicken spots. You're going to find the Moabite spot where they selling Tom and Jerry. You're going to find all of those things. You're going to find them East India stores, all in our neighborhoods, making tens of thousands of dollars. All of these other nations, they have devoured us. How do we know? Arabs set up mosques in our neighborhoods, and now niggas is wearing dresses quite a bit. Niggas is wearing dresses and kufis on their head, talking about salami, eggs, and bacon. that I'm Abdul Rahim Suleiman Khalid Ahmed Muhammad III and Magnificent. Like, brother, stop it. Meanwhile, you still selling drugs. You still a whoremonger. A lot of you sisters is still whores. You're not wearing nothing under that dress you're wearing with that veil you got on your face. Goes to show you, all of these other nations that found us, they devoured us. They devoured us because they know something. They know that we were not following after our God. And that made us easy pickings. Because these other nations know it, man. These other nations know. Keep going.
And their adversary said.
Now, this is what our adversary said. This is what our enemies said. This is what the Edomites, who is the so-called oppressor, the Caucasian man and woman. This is what the East Indians, who is biblically Elam, the Chinese, who are Moab, Ammon, who is the Japanese, all of them Africans, them Hamites, all of the Ishmaelites, who are the Arabs. This is what our adversary said. Keep going.
We offend not.
We offend not, meaning we ain't do nothing wrong. We offend not. They like, we ain't do nothing. Why? Keep going.
Because they have sinned against the Lord.
Because they what?
They have sinned against the Lord.
Because we sinned against the Lord. Now give me Judah chapter 5 and verse 20. Because we sinned against our God. Oh boy. That's why our adversaries can devour us. That's why we are destroyed, man. Because we're not doing what our God said to do. Now, I'll give you one more. Hey, shalom, the fun. Quartazar, give me Judah chapter 5 and verse 20.
Judah chapter 5, verse 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and governor.
Now, these are heathens talking. He said, now, my Lord and governor. They talking amongst themselves. They're in the council. Like, listen, keep going.
If there be any error in this people.
If there be any error in these people, meaning if there's any way we can catch these Israelites slacking, if we can catch them slipping, if there's any error in these people, meaning if we have any fault, if we have one fault, this is it. Keep going.
And they sin against their God.
And they what?
Sin against their
and
God.
sin against their God. 1 John 3 and 4 says sin is transgression of the law. Meaning if we transgress the laws of our God, if we sin against our God, these other nations know that, man. They know it. I know they be playing dumb. Talking, and these other nations know, the Arabs know, the East Indians know, the oppressor for sure knows that blacks, Latinos, and First Nation men and women are the Jews of antiquity, the Israelites of old. They know this. And they know that if we sin against our God, read.
Let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
This shall be their what?
Ruin.
Ruin. Meaning this, it will be our ruin. They're saying, listen, and y'all know what ruin means, meaning it will devastate us. It will destroy us. It's the only way to beat us. And that's the question that a lot of our people have. I'm coming to you next, sis. That's the question a lot of our people have. How did this happen? How? Because we disobeyed our God. Go ahead, sis. What you wanted to say? Ask.
What chapter and verse?
We are in Judith, the 5th chapter, and the 20th verse in the Apocrypha. I got the bar. Let us consider that this would be their ruin. Let me put it in nigga terms for everybody. These other nations is plotting on us. They plotting on us. Why do you think they promote homosexuality? Why do you think they promote, you know what I mean, the eating of pork and every evil and abominable thing? Everybody want to know, what's the end game? What are they planning? The planning is to keep you getting high, to keep you being whores and whoremongers, to keep us in perpetual sin. Because as long as we keep sinning, they win. Think about that for a second. That's the only reason why the oppressor and these other nations are winning and we're losing. Because we're disobeying our God. All we got to do is change. I know that's a hard thing our people have to need to do. Like, look yourself in the mirror. That's the hardest battle you're going to fight. Look that brother, look that sister in the mirror and defeat him, defeat her. Change. But stop eating pork. Stop being a whore. Stop being a whoremonger. Stop smoking weed. That's the one, Quadazai. That's the one. You know how many brothers I talk to? They'd be like, oh, man, I'm going to be there in the end. I'm going to be there. I rock out with y'all. You know what I mean? I'm down for the cause. I'm pro-black. Black power. But as soon as you say, brother, you got to stop smoking weed, they'd be like, nah, brother. Nigga. You don't realize that how the hell you going to be a revolutionary if you're getting high? You inebriated all the time. Like, and that becomes your God, and that's all the oppressor has to do. That's all he has to do. I'm trying to tell you, if he wanted to kill it, Allah Panya, Barak, Yahweh Ba'al Shem Yahshua, Barak Dub.
Ready to rock, ready to get it on. I'll take your questions in the room and online. Who's up? Anyone in the room have a question? You up front, up, please.
Luke chapter 43 to 45.
Luke 43 and 45.
That's like it. Luke 6, verse 43 to 45.
Luke 6, 43 and 45. Anything in particular or just a straight up breakdown? Go ahead, you got it.
It's the book of Luke chapter 6, verse 43. For a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit.
You better give me 41.
41. And why beholdest thou the mote that is thy brother's eye?
Read it one more time. That is what?
Thy brother's eye.
That's in thy brother's eye?
That is in thy brother's eye.
Uh-huh.
But perceivest not the beam that is in thy own eye.
This is a classic scripture that many Christians have heard of, but of course, like every other precept, they don't know what it's talking about. This precept heals families. It heals so-called black on black crime, so-called black on Hispanic and Hispanic on Hispanic crime. It allows people to forgive one another, and it makes forgiving each other a rule. You get my point? A rule, lock. And that's why so many families, so many marriages break up, because of the hardness of their hearts. They refuse to forgive each other. Well, this precept gives you no choice other than to forgive each other. Does everyone understand? The Most High is saying, why would you behold the mote in thy brother's eye? A mote is a splinter. It's Old English for a splinter. So I'm looking at this brother here, and all I can focus on is this small splinter in his eye. It's bothering me. It's annoying me. It's aggravating me. I want him to do what? What do I want him to do? Anyone? Brother, I want him to get that splinter out of his eye. I want to tell him, you have a splinter in your eye. Get that splinter out of your eye. I constantly look at the small splinter in his eye, and I do not even notice the beam in my eye. A beam is that big wooden pole that holds up a house, the beams of a house. So something that is small, that's a flaw in my brother, I fixate on it. It's all I care about. It's all I notice. Something that is small, some problem, some issue that my sister has, which is small, it is big to me. But the giant problem I have, I don't even notice it, Ak. I don't notice it. That is why families separate. So many of them. I appreciate you. You don't get this strong for me if you could. Whenever you're ready. I appreciate it. That's why brothers kill each other. Because, you're upset because something happened to you. And that thing that happened to you is what? To you, what is it? Come on. It's gigantic. Why? Because it happened to me. That's something Commanding General Yohana always told me about, always taught me. You only feel the pain that happens to you, the wound that you take, but you can't feel the pain you give other people. That you don't even notice. That's nothing to you. That, once again, is the giant beam in your eye, which you ignore, and you focus on the small splinter in his eye. Everyone understands. Someone wants to read for the brother? Let's go. For what? Please.
Verse 41.
42, I believe now, right?
Verse 42.
Mm-hmm.
Either, how canst thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote that is in thine eye?
That's what I just brung out to you. How can you tell your brother, let me pull that mote out your eye. Let me get that for you. You got something wrong with you. Let me fix how you talk to me. Let me fix the fact that you don't loan me money. Let me fix the fact that you don't look out for me. Let me fix the fact that when I want something, you never are there for me. How can you even focus on that small thing that he has, that small issue he has, that small flaw he has? Go ahead.
when thou thyself beholdest not the beam that is in thine own eye.
When you don't even notice the giant flaw that you have. You can't tell when you are cruel. That you don't notice. You can't tell that you don't help anybody. Let me give you someone who is always disrespecting people. Someone who really can't take being disrespected. That type of person, a person that says, you're going to respect me. Just find that person in your life. He disrespected me. She disrespected me. No, you're going to respect me. That person never respects anybody. Never. And you're going to see it 1,000 times. Everybody knows that person who will do anything, fight, yell over disrespect. I'm not letting anybody disrespect me. No, never. They disrespect 10 people in a day and they don't even notice it. Do you understand? Anything else?
You want me to continue that verse?
Where was this question at? I think 3, I believe his question was. Go ahead.
No, thou hypocrite.
Thou what?
Thou hypocrite.
Thou what?
Thou hypocrite.
Ooh, this is where you can cut Christians at, for a living. Hypocrisy. Christians are hypocrites. Religious people are the biggest hypocrites in the world. They're far more hypocritical than, a career criminal or a career sinner. Far more hypocritical than anyone is a religious person, because they live in the shroud of religion all day. They live under the covering of crosses and big thick Bibles and sayings about God and suits and ties and holy apparel, holy clothing, and that covering allows them to hide all of the child abuse, the child molestation, the rape, the murder, the violence that they live off of. That allows them to hold the sexual abuse, to hide the physical abuse and sexual abuse, because they have the shroud, the covering of religion. They're hypocrites. Christ said, "Oh, ye hypocrites." A hypocrite is someone that is perceived to be one way, but they're another way in private. All right, go ahead.
Cast out first the beam out of thine own eye.
Hypocrite, change yourself first. That's 1 West UPK, Commanding General Yohana. Hypocrites, cast the splinter out of your own eye first. While you're trying to make sure that no one disrespects you, that no one ever shorts you money, never. And no one ever keeps 1 penny that they're supposed to give to you. While you're going to your wife to make sure that she is the best, most perfect wife in the world. While you're going to your husband to make sure that he's a real man and he treats you the way a husband is supposed to. Fix yourself first, because you're 10 times as wicked as the person you're trying to fix. Does everyone understand? Please, next.
And then shalt thou see clearly to pull out the mote that is in thy brother's eye.
And you know what happens once you fix yourself, Akim and Akwafi? Once you focus on fixing yourself, before you know it, you can even see more clearly what's wrong with other people, because you fixed yourself. That's the point. Everybody understands, right? No problem. Anything else? First, let me do the announcements, all right? 1 second. Bobbity Bob. Okay, well, this is some good stuff. I got my topic for the day I need to go over. That's what I'm saying right here now. Bear with me 1 second. Any other questions in the room? No go? We good to go with questions online?
Sir.
Okay.
Brother wanted a general. Oh, sorry.
Go. I'm listening. Go ahead, bro.
Brother wanted a general breakdown of James 5:16.
Dame tiempo, mi gente. 1 second. Mi nombre es General Mahayaman. Soy tu hermano. Y estos son los anuncios. Dame tiempo. Somos la escuela israelita de conocimiento práctico universal desde 1 Oeste, calle 125, Harlem, Nueva York, bajo el mando del General Yohana, desde el 1969, carnales. Esta es la verdad. Si tú eres latino, negro o indio, nativo, tú eres Israel, el pueblo elegido de Dios. Next.
Brother wanted a general breakdown of James chapter 5 and verse 6. And brother, 5 and 16 is one of the brothers we do.
Let's do it.
Book of James 5, verse 16. Confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth.
Okay, I'm sorry. Break it down from the top, I'm assuming. Is that right? Read it again. Go ahead.
Confess your faults one to another.
Confess your faults one to another. Once again, this scripture heals the problems of the black community. So many people would like peace in the black and Hispanic community without justice. And you cannot have peace without justice. I'm fine, Warrior. I appreciate it. If you're going to have sex with a woman, even though she has a boyfriend, even though she has a husband, then we can't have peace in the black and Hispanic community without brothers, honoring the fact that she has a man, or she has a boyfriend, or she has a husband. You can't have peace in our community without honoring the fact that this woman has a man. Because the minute you try to get her phone number or try to contact her on social media, you now have offended her man. If you want peace, you'll have to stop doing things like that. You can't steal from one another and have peace. You can't violate each other and have peace, because the insult that you commit against people demands justice. So step one to peace is to not violate one another. Everyone understands. But what if you've already violated someone? What if you've already done something that's wrong to someone? Well, the best way to end the hostility that you have created by violating him is to confess what you've done to that person. Now, if you need individual counsel about different things that can happen in your life, you might not know what to do about those things. You get individual counsel from your camp leader. You go to him about specific incidents that you might think you need to confess for. Go to your camp leader first. Does everyone understand? Right? And he'll tell you how to proceed, right? In general, of course, if you've done something wrong, go to them and confess it. Say, I stole this from you. I took this from you. I lied about you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. It heals wounds, to go and apologize for a thing that you've done. And this scripture doesn't give you the option. This scripture is telling you to do it. I pray you understand. Keep going.
And pray one for another.
And pray for one another. Pray for each other. We do that in the UPK officially every night in class. But of course, you can go home in your private area and pray for your brothers and sisters. Keep going. And you should do it. Keep going.
That ye may be healed.
Mm-hmm.
The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man.
Hold on one second. That ye may be healed. Why? Because our people are full of sickness, riddled with sickness. Mental disorders. We're going to go into some of these tonight. I need those videos I asked you for too. We're going to go into the LGBTQ community tonight. Right or wrong? Can't do it. Shouldn't do it. Okay, stop. We're going to go into Dwayne Wade and what's her name? I'm talking about the wife. Gabrielle Union. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union received an NAACP Image Award last night for supporting their transgender daughter. All right, we're going to go into that tonight. We'll also go into the NAACP awards and the whole history of the awards. We'll go into that. That's my topic tonight. Everyone understands. All right. In doing so, we'll also go into some mental disorders. All right. Some classically recognized mental disorders. All right. To the brother's question, we have so much sickness, we should pray for one another. We need each other's prayers. And the Most High will heal us because of the prayers of a righteous person. That's how important it is for you to change and be born again. Not only do you save your own life, but now you've earned the right for the Most High to hear your prayers when you pray for someone else. when you are a wicked person, God does not want to hear your prayers. God does not listen to Christians praying up. So many of you think that God knows you. God does not know who you are. God does not hear you. God doesn't listen for you. God could care less that you're being murdered and slaughtered every day, everywhere, and that disease has destroyed your family. God could care less unless you've earned the right for his care. And God's love is extremely conditional. God does not have unconditional love. God's love is extremely conditional, just like any good father. Everyone understands. Read.
God. The effectual fervent prayer.
The effectual. What does the word effectual mean? Effective. The effective prayer. Christians, your prayer is not effective. You pray and you pray and you pray and you dance and you pray, and we just get more sick and die more, and we lose the right to vote in 2022. 2022, they pass a law to restrict voting rights, to get rid of voting, and there's more abuse and more violence from our oppressor than there ever was. Even though your grandmama was a praying woman, it was an effective prayer. That doesn't work. But the effective prayer, the effectual prayer of a righteous person, those prayers work, baby girl. They work. Keep going.
Oh God. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much.
It avails much. The word avail means to win. That's what avail means. These prayers win, baby. I pray you understand. Next. Is that it? Or is that his question? Next.
Brother wanted to break down of Isaiah 34, 8-10. Is this scripture talking about after the Third World War is over and no one can inhabit the land of America because of the fire?
Give me a little black coffee up here, please. Wow, somebody made a good cup of coffee tonight. Who made this? You made this, brother? You know what you're doing. Give him a hand. Go ahead. What am I looking for? What's the thing? Please don't let me forget to do all those topics I sent you out, because I'm going to forget and be jammed up. Precept. What are we discussing?
Precept I just
Yeah. What's the question that I need to answer now?
Con. Brother wanted a general breakdown of Isaiah chapter 34, verse 8-10.
All right, go ahead.
So I can read it.
Please.
Isaiah 34, verse 8. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion.
Read it one more time.
For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance.
For it is the day of the Most High's vengeance. Hold on 1 second again, Akim. This is about Judgment Day. You said this question was something in specific?
Con, sir.
What was it in
He
specific?
wants to know if the scripture talk about after the Third World War is over and no one can inhabit the land of America because of the fire.
Okay, go ahead and read it.
And the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Verse 9. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch.
That's exactly what it's talking about. It's talking about when the land of our oppressor is destroyed with thermonuclear warfare. And then the angels shoot their weapons, their beams out of their chariots and wipe out the survivors. And when that happens, brother, there will be no one living here at all in the land of our oppressor. They'll be uninhabitable for 1,000 years. What does that mean? A super long time. Everyone understands. That's what that precept is talking about, if that's his question, all right? Next. Please.
I have a question just for clarity. So
Please.
every time we hear like time periods, it's not always accurate. It's just like
Okay.
like an estimate time.
But don't think it's inaccurate. It's accurate to our standard of accuracy. You get my point? If you don't celebrate birthdays, then you don't really care about it being absolutely on the day to the time of when an event happened. We brought this out last week. The reason that there is a Black History Month is because Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, their birthdays fall in February. That's it. So I appreciate it. The entire month of Black History Month is Black History Month because Abraham Lincoln's birthday is in February. And Frederick Douglass, his birthday is also in February. So this is just a month-long celebration of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. That's it. President's Day. President's Day is also in February because on that date of President's Day, that is the birthday of George Washington. That's where President's Day comes from. It's George Washington's birthday. Now, for some reason, you can get furniture, at a good price on President's Day because they'll find some way to have a financial gain for everything. But President's Day is George Washington's birthday. So you have to be exact if you're planning on worshiping someone. You need to know if it happened February 15th. It happened March 5th. But if you're not worshiping anybody, how old am I? I don't know, roundabout. I was in my Spanish class just last week, and the teacher asked me what my age was, and I sat there like, I just gave him some number. I don't know. I know it's around. I know what it's around. You get the point, but I don't know. I don't know my children's birthdays. None of them. Not one. And that's like 10, 20 dates. And I don't know any of them. But I do know around about the time. You get my point. I know around the time when those birthdays are. And, my kids don't know each other's and nobody gives a damn. And their birthdays come and go. And I just go, oh, well, she's 17 now. Oh, that's good. That's beautiful. He's, 30 or whatever. It's fine. It's all good. It's great. They're growing up. They're not dead. And I thank the Lord for that. But other than that, we don't need it. So it's accurate to our necessity, to what we need. And that's every date in the Bible. So when the Most High says 1,000 years, 1,000 is not an actual number to Black people and Hispanics. It's not a real number. It's like I've been in here all day. Everybody knows what that means, right? How long have you been here? I've been here all day. Well, is that 24 hours? Is that how long you waited? No. What is all day? Give me an answer. Who knows? Wait, first I want to see if two people give me the same answer. Give me two people that'll tell me what all day is into a time amount. You have it in your mind. Okay? And you have it in your mind. Okay. At the same time, tell me what all day is. 1, 2, 3. Say again? Okay, no, you're right. That's what it means to us. But I want to see if you can pick a time. Is it 4 hours, 2 hours, 10 minutes? Whatever you say, let me just hear it. Pick an actual time for all day. What is it? 1, 2, 3.
10.
Say again? No, you gotta give me a time. I just 10 this morning. Give me meaning an hour, a half an hour, 5 minutes, 6 hours, but say it at the exact same time. 1, 2, 3, everybody. What'd you say, sis, up front? An hour. You need to work on your patience. God damn. You can't make her wait for nothing. You're dying?
I'm guilty of that too.
That's how you are, huh?
I've been here all day. I've been there 10 minutes.
You look, you got there 15 minutes ago. Y'all got to work on your patience. 1 hour. God, you had your hand up, sis? You had your hand up in the back. 7 hours. I believe most of you said about 7. What were you going to say, sis? In the middle. 2. Okay, you need to work on yours a little taste more too. To me, all day, I think all day would be about 4 to 6 hours. But once again, it's personal. It's whatever you can handle. You get the point. It means different things, but it's enough. All day is enough for Blacks and Hispanics. All day. I've been there all day. I've been waiting here forever. I've been sitting outside waiting for you forever. That's the Bible. The Bible is written like that. Okay, that's what time is in the Bible. You want 1,000 years, and 7 times 70, and 400 years. It's figurative. It's spiritual. It's not carnal. Next.
Go. Shalom, sorry. Can I get the scriptures that tell you the standards for Simeon, Asher, Gad,
and Reuben, multiple show. I couldn't find them in Genesis and Deuteronomy.
They're in Genesis and Deuteronomy. Give me the lions. Well, give me Ephraim. Just give him 3 of them. All right. They're in Genesis 49 and Deuteronomy 33. There's a few of them in Chronicles, I believe. I believe a few of them. I think Gad or is it Gad? A few of them are in Chronicles. All right. Most of them are in Deuteronomy 33 and Genesis, and a couple of them in Chronicles. What he means by standards are like, there was a time, of course, when, I believe it still happens this way today, when you want to move masses of people. And of course, masses of people are far over there because it's 1,000 of them, 10,000 of them, and they would wave a flag in the sky. If you saw that flag, you knew that the tribe of Judah is supposed to go this way because you see the flag of Judah going that way. You see the flag of Ephraim going that way. So waving flags were how we moved armies. It happens like that today. Today in the military, they wave a flag. That tells me that this company is supposed to go here. And this company is supposed to go here because you see your flag. And that's why there's a flag bearer in every military unit to represent the unit. And when the flag moves, the unit is moving with it. The commanders know that my unit is here because I see the flag there. If the flag is not waving, your unit has been destroyed. They're gone because the flag is laying on the ground. Everyone understands? It's how military movements work today, all right, in our oppressor's military. Well, like every good thing, Israelites invented that. So we would use pictures to signify what tribe this was, and that symbol began to represent that tribe. When you saw it, Moses did it, where Moses put up the standard, Shalom Warrior. Moses put up the standard of tribes, and he would move the tribes based on their standard. That's also in the book of Genesis, I believe, or Deuteronomy, when Moses moved Ephraim, and I appreciate you, Warrior. Moved Ephraim to this way, moved Ephraim to that way, based on their standard, all right? But give me a few of the tribe standards, all right? Give me Judah first.
That's all in Genesis 49 chapter.
Solid. It's all in Genesis, the 49th chapter. Read a couple of them, please. Just skip around. Give me Judah first.
Genesis chapter 49 and verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
Judah, that's the first prophecy that was said by Moses to indicate that Judah would become the head tribe or the eldest brother of the 12. At one time, Reuben was the eldest brother, but he displeased his father. And so because of that, Judah got the position of the eldest brother. Judah, keep going.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. That's a character trait or a stereotype of the tribe of Judah. Judites love to fight. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. So if you're looking for Judah, look for the tribe that is always involved in conflict. Because Judah, you find him, if you're looking for him, look to see whose hands are wrapped around some enemy's neck. Because that is the tribe of Judah. And that's the way we've always been. Sometimes it can be used for good. Many times it is a flaw. Right? A lot of these things we're going to read, some of them are good. Other ones are a flaw. Judites love conflict, prefer conflict. We're famous among every 12 tribes, all of the 12 tribes, for just constantly fighting and fighting for the sake of fighting for the joy of it, for the pleasure of it. Forget about black women. They're just synonymous all over the world for being the most conflict-oriented woman. Forget about black men. You're famous for being the most conflict-oriented tribe of all of the 12 tribes. You prefer it. You love it. You don't want to work. You don't want to have peace. You want to fight someone every day, all the time. That's in the Bible. Judah, his hands shall be in the neck of his enemy. Keep going.
Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
Why bow down? Why bow down before you? Because our King, Yahushua Christ, the Lord of Lords and King of Kings, he is from the tribe of Judah. So because of that, the other tribes will bow down to him. and he's a Judite. Everyone understands. Keep going.
Judah is a lion's whelp.
Judah is a what?
A lion's whelp.
A lion's whelp. A whelp is a cub or a young lion. Judah is a lion's whelp. What is the symbol for the tribe of Judah and has been since Genesis, since Moses, since God knows, since Egypt? The lion. A picture of a lion represented a Judite. So if you saw that on the battlefield, that lion waving in the sky, you rallied to that flag. Everyone rallied to there if you were the tribe of Judah. So the king over Israel would be able to move his army in the direction that he believes it should be in. Everyone understands. Give me a different one.
Khan, sir. Verse 3. Reuben, thou art my firstborn.
Reuben. Who is Reuben? The so-called Seminole Indians, or the Indians in Florida. When I say Indian, I mean the indigenous people, the so-called Native Americans, that tribe that was in Florida in the so-called United States, all right? Those are the Seminole Indians. That family, the Seminole Indians, are actually the tribe of Reuben. Keep going, which they gave our oppressor much war in Florida. Andrew Jackson had to come down and slaughter them because they were the fightingest tribe. I mean, you should go research some history on the tribe of Reuben. Go ahead.
If I could, sir, my time doing research on the tribe of Reuben, they used to literally, like white people would say, listen, if you go across there, we can't come back for you because, they'll go across that line and they get scalped.
And fight those alligators too. He was just famous for just taking an alligator and just ripping his mouth open. Just taking him and ripping his mouth apart. Just taking him and ripping him open. And then they began to do shows for oppressors later on once they were, held captive and conquered. But they would just fight those alligators, and the alligator would have a bad day dealing with them. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so I remember being a trooper in Captain Parr's class. He was breaking down like how Reuben, it was at the pinnacle of created like modern day guerrilla warfare. Like how you see Moab with the Viet Cong and they wearing the fatigues coming out the ground, snatching Esau up. That was Reuben, going at it with the oppressor.
That's a rough tribe. I'm sorry, read what they are real fast.
Khan. My might in the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power, unstable as water. Thou shalt not excel because thou.
We might go to Deuteronomy 33. This one might be in Deuteronomy 33. This is going into a negative trait. The tribe of Reuben is unstable as water. It's going into a story that happened in the book of Genesis, I believe, or Deuteronomy, with Reuben and Reuben was unstable. Reuben had sex with Jacob's wife, and because of that, his father said, "You're unstable. You're out of your mind." And then that's how he lost the position of being the head tribe or the eldest son. Judah, what's the Reubenites? The Reubenites are a stallion, a horse. And I believe it's in Deuteronomy 33. This might be the one I was talking about this in Chronicles. But Reuben, their symbol is a horse or a stallion. A horse is the symbol for the tribe of Reuben. The brother will find it for time's sake. I gotta get to my topic. But it's in Deuteronomy 33 or Genesis or Chronicles. Ask your camp leader and they'll give you all of them, all right? Skip down to another one, please, for time's sake. That's enough for you. Everybody get the point. This is what you need right here. Genesis 49, Deuteronomy 33, and a couple in Chronicles, done. Now, you need Chronicles for Gad as well, I believe. Yeah, you need Chronicles for Gad because the symbol for Gad is a bow and arrow, and that's in Chronicles. He was skillful with bow and arrow. That's in the book of Chronicles. And throughout history, North American Indians, so-called North American Indians, have been synonymous with the bow and arrow, and it's in the Bible. All right, good to go. Next.
Brother wanted to break down Job chapter 30 and verse 5.
Please see me one more time, please, guard. Go ahead.
Brother wanted to break
What's your name up?
Salawat, sir.
Officer? The water warrior. Oh, Salaki, I should have known. You rocking that cover, looking good in it. The water. Go ahead.
Brother wanted to break down Job chapter 30 and verse 5. Is this talking about Mount Seir or the Caucasus?
Let's hear it. Please.
Job chapter 30, verse 5. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they braved, under the nettles, they were gathered together. They were children of fools.
What verse is this? I mean, what book?
So,
Job, boy, this sounds, I'm like 90% sure, but I'm not 100. I can almost guarantee this is speaking about Esau. If another officer knows, you just let me know. But I believe this is absolutely speaking about Mount Seir, just for everyone else's knowledge, the Caucasus Mountains, right? At one time, our oppressor was called Caucasian, throughout the word. They were called Caucasian because they made home for many years in the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia, right? Before they were living in the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia, they lived in Mount Seir in the Middle East, in the land of Edom. They were troglodytes, cave dwellers. They're the bowls they ate out of were their grandfather's skulls. They wore their families, bones around their neck. Right? You've seen that in different depictions of Neanderthals, where they would use, their daughter's skull, their daughter's femur, their daughter's bones as jewelry. And that is exactly how they were. The Neanderthal, what was the other one besides the Neanderthal? The one that predated the Neanderthal. Let's just use the Neanderthal because he's famous for being violent. Officer. Cro-Magnon man, that's correct. He predates, he knows everything. That brother right there. Give him a hand. He knows what you don't know. So now, Cro-Magnon man, after him, the Neanderthal man, all of them were, just think biblical Edomites, our oppressor a long time ago, before he put a suit and a tie on and could shave. And he was just a hairy animal that believed that dating was rape, was forcing a woman, forcing her unconsensually. That's how he did it. He did not get consent, that oppressor, not at all. He did not believe in getting consent from a woman. He dated with a giant stick that he hit women over the head with. And you'll find this in history. This is not tough talk. This is how he dated. They take a big old stick, hit you over the head with it, give you non-consensual relations, and that was that. And the only way somebody could have you is if they could fight him. And then they might kill him and then take the woman. If you want to look up where monogamy comes from, it comes from non-consensual relations. That's where no go still. Did I say kill? Not kill. Not that. That's not what I'm talking about. You misunderstand me. I'm talking about unaliving a person where they were alive. Then you hit them with a rock, and then they are unalived. That's what I actually mean. All right. Well, our oppressor would unalive about 1 million people every chance he could get. And that is where monogamy comes from. Do I need to give you the story for time's sake? I'll try to move on because I want to get to Gabrielle Union. Come on.
If I could say real quick, like what you just brought up was heavy because of the characteristics that you just explained, like how they look at love.
Yeah.
When you study like the animal kingdom, that's what animals do. To get the woman, they'll fight to the,
Isn't that the truth? Give him a hand because that's the fact. Okay. Which is going into my topic with Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, what animals do and what animals believe is acceptable. And I need that one with that preacher too. I've seen that video about that preacher.
that's the only video you sent.
Okay, I didn't send you the Gabrielle Union one. Okay, I might just tell you about Gabrielle Union and give you that video. Any more questions? Come on. How about TikTok? No questions on the TikTok.
That's a few questions on TikTok.
All right, go ahead.
You want them first?
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay, This is one from TikTok. One poor brother wanted to know how are blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians Israelites? And he's trying to say, Native Indians trace their lineage
To Asia. Right. Because black people are Asiatic. Black people come from Asia. Black people do not come from Africa. Black people are Asiatic. Back in the 90s, this was common knowledge of the Asiatic black man. This is one of the largest myths, or might be the greatest myth on earth, besides the fact that Jesus Christ was a black man, is the knowledge or the identity of the true biblical ethnic Jew of the Bible. Black people are not from Africa. They're from Asia. Right now, there are oppressors who have been living in Africa since, how long have they been there in Africa? The Dutch and the British and the Australians and the Boers. That's what they were called at one time. And Great Britain went to war with them, and it was called the Boer War. And they were fighting the oppressors who live in South Africa. They've been there, how long? Since the 1800s? Is that right, Abun? Yeah, they haven't turned dark skin. They haven't turned black. They're just as white as, as Donald Trump right now today. They're not getting any darker. And of course, there are Eskimos who live in, the Inuit people who live in Greenland, and they're dark skinned. Come on.
I'm gonna give you a stat, sir. I can pull it up.
Please.
I read something on Twitter that said Elon Musk was the first African American.
Ain't that something? Elon Musk, that's correct. Elon Musk is an African American, and that is a fact. That whole African American myth is what they gave black people in the 70s to try to legitimize us, because they saw after the civil rights movement the blunder that the NAACP and preachers committed during the civil rights movement increased the ownership of immigrants in the black community. Because remember, because of civil rights, what did the civil rights laws say? You could not discriminate anymore on the basis of what? Who knows? Race. That's the civil rights movement. Before that, you absolutely could discriminate on the basis of race. Hallelujah, we won. Now you cannot discriminate anymore on the basis of race anymore. So when a Korean comes to buy up your neighborhood, can you say no? Sisters? When the Chinese come to buy every restaurant and every house, when the Chinese take the home of a grandparent who's been living in this single parent home since the 20s, and a Korean wants to buy that home and turn it into 10 apartments, right? Can you stop that Korean from doing that? Sister in the back. Why? Not because of that. I just gave you the answer a second ago. Can you say we don't want Koreans owning all our businesses? Can you say that, sister? In the back. You can, I'm sorry, you can say it. Can you do anything about it? For water. Thank you. No. Give her a hand. No. You can't do a damn thing about it. If you want to open your mind, then just tell me why you cannot stop the Koreans from buying your grandmother's house that was a 5-bedroom house and turning it into a 10 apartment house. Why can't you stop them? Why did they buy up the entire West Philly, which at one time was as black as Harlem and thriving and rich? And Muhammad Ali came down to 52nd and Market to challenge Joe Frazier to a fight in the 60s. And it was like being in Harlem. Why is Harlem gone? Why can't you stop the Africans, the Jewish people, the Arabs from buying Harlem? Why can't you stop them from buying North Philly? Why can't you stop them from doing it? Come on, it's right in front of your face, New York. Because you would be discriminating against someone on the basis of race. The civil rights movement stopped you from being able to keep Koreans and Vietnamese people and Africans out of your neighborhood. Now you cannot say no to them. Listen, there was a bill last year. Joe Biden tried to pass a bill to help black farmers. If you can find this would help you. He went and pushed through a bill to help black farmers because black farmers are disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 virus that happened because no one would go into the supermarket, and it really affected the food industry. But it affected black farmers worse than every other farmer. The bill did not get passed. It was rejected. On what basis? The bill was, come on, use the word, discriminatory, because it helped black farmers and not every farmer. And black farmers got no help. That is the work of the NAACP and the preachers. That's what happened. This is not debatable. There's no way to debate this. This is factual. It's why you can't change anything. And you would never change anything politically because politics broke it. At one time, you could do something based on race. You could say, well, he's Korean, so we're not letting him buy a building in Harlem. We're not letting him buy a building in North Philly or in West Philly or in Mississippi or in Alabama. You could stop him from doing it. Now, he also could stop you from going to the place that black people, for some reason, go to, Woolworths. You know, you had to go sit at the lunch counter at Woolworth. That was worth all of this. Well, they could stop you from going in Woolworths, but you could stop them from going in Harlem, from West Philly, North Philly, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama. You could stop them from going into your town. Now you can't. Everybody, come on. You want to bring out something?
I'll just say one thing, sir. What you just said was so heavy.
Go ahead.
And it just hit me. You know what I mean? If we didn't have that, we'd been able to stop Brett Favre from stealing all those millions of dollars from Jackson, Mississippi.
I mean, the problem is so deep. And it's something we did, thinking that we could fix, a spiritual problem with a physical solution. When our problem is spiritual, it's not physical. Go ahead and read it for the brothers. I got to move the hell on, sisters. Come on. You need me to die?
No, sir.
Somebody read it for him then while he's doing that.
I got it, sir.
Oh, go ahead, Salak.
Khan, sir. Khan. National Black Farmers President Boyd disappointed President Joe Biden reneged on the debt relief for black farmers.
He tried, but it was discriminatory. It discriminated against white people and white farmers. It discriminated against the people that didn't need a quarter of the help we needed. It didn't need it at all. But according to the Civil Rights Bill, you can't discriminate based on race anymore. So that's the end of that. And that never happened. How many black farmers are there? You could probably count them on two hands. That's about it. You probably have two hands and 2 feet, and you're done with every black farmer in America. Come on.
So they didn't pass that, but they was able to pass the Asian hate bill and the alphabet community.
Well, absolutely. Well, when it comes to criminal justice, you can focus law enforcement on a specific area. You can do the same thing with children. You can do the same thing with women when it comes to law enforcement, but not when it comes to passing laws, not when it comes to, the city and the government and the state, but the law enforcement can pass certain laws where they focus on a particular demographic that they deem to be in need of extra help. And that happens all the time. Everybody, that's where you got there had to be a law passed against lynching. At one time, went and passed a law that said you can't lynch, because before that, you could just lynch and that was that. It was no problem. So the criminal justice system can do it. But as far as the people that own those houses and those stores and those restaurants, you can't stop that. You started it. You wanted it. You marched for it. Everybody understands. All right, next. Go ahead.
Brother wanted a general breakdown of Tobit, chapter 7, verse 13.
Did I answer the last question? I don't even remember. Whatever.
I believe you said you was going to ask Commander General.
Solid. Next.
Brother says, Slug Yalawan, can I get a breakdown of Tobit, chapter 7, and verse 13 and 14? What paper did they take?
Go ahead.
Tobit chapter 7, verse 13. Then he called his daughter Sarah, and she came to her father, and he took her by the hand, and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, Behold, take her after the law of Moses, and lead her away to thy father. And he blessed them, and called Edna his wife, and took paper, and did write an instrument of covenants, and sealed it.
An instrument of covenant is where the common everyday system of having a marriage license comes from. And today you go to some oppressor in some office in your city hall, and you get a piece of paper from this stranger who owns you, because the city and the state own you. At one time, your father wrote that piece of paper. When he was giving away his daughter, it was a contract between him and the future husband. And if he agreed with it, he said, no problem. You want my daughter? You give me this, I'll give you my daughter. Who's your father? Let me talk to you. Oh, I know him. Okay, yeah, okay, solid. He's a good man. All right, I like this. I like the cut of your jib. That's an old phrase, y'all, for old people. I like the cut of your jib. I like how you operate. I see what you're dealing with. I know your father. I know he's of good stock. I know him. He's just like me. I know him. I remember him. No problem. You run 10 goats over here. Give me 10 goats, 10 cows, or work for me for 7 years, and you can have my daughter. And then he'd write it up. He'd pull out a piece of paper and go, 10 cows, 10 sheep. This is what I want. Boom, boom, back. Here's this. Take it with you. Now my daughter is yours. That's the way it was at one time. Of course, our oppressor said that was arcane and brutal. Oh, that demeans a woman for her father to give her away in marriage. Well, who gave you away? Huh? No one. You don't even have a father. Congratulations. Now you don't have a man in your life that could write a piece of paper down and work out a deal with a man who he examines, he knows, he talks to their parents, he has a relationship with the man's parents, and now he makes the agreement over you. You know, our oppressor thought that was just, treated women like, a possession. Well, someone signed paper for you to get a marriage license. They did it, and they own you. The people down at the marriage license office or wherever y'all go to get that piece of paper. If you don't know where that place is, you will know it because it's the same place you go for the divorce paper. So when you go down there to get your divorce, that's the place. Everybody understands. In our culture, there's one piece of paper that you get to take her. There ain't no paper to give her back. You got her. That's what Christ said. That no more two shall become one. No more two, but one, as it was from the beginning. Everybody understands. Next. I'm sorry, come on.
So, I know it said the law of Moses. This was the law?
Yes, it was the law. You wrote it up like a contract. Why? Because what happens in any marriage? Problems. So when the problems start, guess what you'll say? I never signed anything to get her. I don't know who she is. Who is in my bed? I don't know. He told me she'd never been with a man. I ain't so sure about that. He cheated me. He's wrong. I gave him the goats. He gave me this woman who I don't want because of the problems that could happen once buyer's remorse. Once you get her, then you might regret getting her. Well, we got this piece of paper here. You absolutely did want her. You signed this. Did you sign this? All right. You have the token of marriage, which was a bloody bed sheet. Well, the father has the bloody bed sheet up. So he gave you a woman just like he said. And here's the document. You better go home and work on that marriage. You better go ahead and get busy with making that thing work because you're not getting out of it based on this. Everybody understands. Come on.
If I could, sir, add what you're saying. Not only what the paperwork said, with that paperwork came that brother paying it out.
Ooh-wee. You got those goats, didn't you? How was those goats? Good? You like that goat meat? All right. Well, that's your wife. Whatever, that's it. I ain't giving back the goats. You can forget that. The goats is mine. And that's what the paper was for disputes. There was another one when if they refused the marriage and they were your near kinsmen, you would have to give them your shoes. So then when you regret not taking her, which also happens, when you pass on her, she's yours biblically based on your family. But then you say, I don't want her. So another brother marries her. And what happens after you start looking at the moonlight? You start wishing you would have married her. You start listening. I'm sure they had Jodeci back then, some type of Jodeci, some type of biblical Jodeci, or give me a group to make you sit and think about a woman. Y'all kids, y'all don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Y'all rap. You don't know what kicking game is to a woman at all. You die. You seem like you might have a little game to you. You die. Am I right about that? I'll give him a hand. Your dad looked like he might have a little game there. Break down. What were you going to say? Yeah, not Boys and Men. I can't stand them. but besides Boys and Men, for the brothers that don't know, Boys and Men at one time said, Commanding General Yohana is a demon. And to that day, since that day, I will never listen to Boys and Men. Now, their leader died. He died, dropped dead of the COVID-19 virus. And when it happened, I thought, should I end my feud with Boys to Men? Then I thought on it again, and until one of them, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say died just now. What I meant to say is that the religious leader of Boys to Men was unalived by the COVID-19 virus. And until one more member of Boys to Men is unalived, I will not end my feud with Boys to Men because I'm from the tribe of Judah. I know you understand. I don't have to ask. I know you know what I mean. Moving on. And what were you? So yeah, they had some biblical. Once you start listening to some group back in the Bible times, you wish you would have taken her. You wish you would have married her. You regret not doing it. Now you make a beef. Now you want to take somebody to counsel. Well, she has your shoes, which means you passed on her. The father has your shoes. You passed on her. Are these your shoes? This is a token that you said you didn't want her. That was the point. All right, for the inevitable legal problem of taking her or not taking her. That was the reason for the paperwork. All right. If you're wondering, marriages in the UPK work like this today. Right? There's a text message where you get it, it's in writing, you sign it, you say, "Conda one con," that's your wife. Shalom. You pay the dowry. You're going to pay for some of these sisters in here. You should get ready. Some of you young brothers, you plotting on my daughters, just know, ain't none of them cheap. Not one. You're going to give up some money. You better go out tonight and Uber if you're thinking about marrying abroad in here. I pray you understand. You know I'm not joking. But once you got her, you got her. Don't need to come to me crying and all that. And let me tell you, for you young brothers, this is a mystery that you won't understand. I'm going to waste my time to say it, right? Once you take divorce off the table, where it's not an option, and once you take physical violence off the table, where physical violence is not an option, and once you take giving the children trauma off the table, now those are three things I just gave you. If you get rid of this, I am not allowed to leave her for any reason other than she became a whore. I am not allowed to physically harm her. I am not allowed to traumatize the children. If you're a woman, I am not allowed to leave him for any reason. I am not allowed to physically harm my husband. I am not allowed to traumatize the children. If you could have those three things and keep them, it makes staying together so much easier, because then you don't have any option other than to work it out and forgive each other. You don't have another way. The problem with marriages is there's always a parachute. There's always a way to get out. There's always a way to vent on him, even though your baby is crying in the closet or hiding under a bed. There's always a way to punch that bitch in the face. There's always a way to stab him, key his car, or scratch his face. There's always something you can do to vent your feelings. And because of that, you don't work it out. You don't forgive each other. You don't find a better way because you bend to the lowest possible option. But once those options are gone, you'd be shocked, man. You work that thing out. When you can't smack the teeth out of her mouth, you'd be shocked how you talk to that broad. When you cannot smack her down in the street, then you go, Jesus, what am I going to do then? I have got to find something to do because I cannot smack her in her face. I want to smack her in her face. I want to do it. And when she says, I cannot traumatize the children, so I can't belittle him and yell at him in public or in front of these kids. I can't talk about how he ain't a man and how I wish I never met him and how I'm leaving him and he ain't got no money. Why? Because the little boy will hear that, and that traumatizes them. Then now he doesn't have a reason to want to smack you. He can't smack you. You can't traumatize the children who would hear your mouth and hear how you yell, stupid bitch, in that house. Now, like a woman who is less than admirable, like a woman who should not talk like that. That's what I really meant when I said that very, very foul word. I meant that. When you do, if you didn't have the option to do that, oh, y'all gonna get together. Y'all gonna sit there and grit your teeth and go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Come on. Bring that shit on in. Come on. I'm fine. And that's that, Ark. And then tomorrow's another day. All right? And you wake up in the morning and do it again. Everybody gets it, all right? You just find a way to do it. Everybody gets my point. All right, next, come on.
That's like brothers and Slavians. Uncle Shaw, can I get a general counsel for a couple who fights constantly and makes public spectacle about each other on social media, then get back together just to repeat the same behavior over and over?
Okay, I think I just did it. He must not have. I told you I was wasting my time, right? Now remember I said that. I said this was a waste of time. Okay, that's it. Moving on. Next question. Go ahead.
Brother wanted a general breakdown of Jeremiah 9 and 4.
When do I got to start the topic? Do I got to do it now?
You have to do it now, sir.
Okay, let me get two more and that's, oh, look at this here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Jeremiah 9 and 4, general breakdown of that, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Someone's reading it, right? Can I go upstairs even? We ready to go?
I have not received word about upstairs yet, sir.
That might give us a little more time. Go ahead.
Jeremiah 9, verse 4. Take ye heed every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother, for every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders.
That's a perfect precept. Now, with that, you need to give me prove a friend. All right. What that means is, I'll break it down for you quickly. Read it one more time.
Take ye heed every one of his neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
and trust ye not in any brother,
Mm-hmm.
for every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders.
Let me explain. You cannot trust someone simply because they live next door to you, or they're from your city, or they're from your neighborhood. That's ridiculous. You cannot trust someone simply because they're your family member, because they're your brother. That is a ridiculous reason to trust anyone. Why? Because your brother will betray you. He'll do it. Your neighbor will betray you. Your neighbor and your brother are synonymous in the Bible, meaning we're family, which is what makes us neighbors, which is those two words are the same in the Old Testament. Physical relation, family relation doesn't mean that he won't sleep with your wife, steal your money, or betray you, right? You can't trust that. So then what can you trust? Precept. I told you where it was when you found it. Give me prove a friend. All right, that's what you need. You have it, let me know.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 6, verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove
If thou
it
what?
first.
If thou what?
If thou wouldest get a friend.
So you want somebody you can trust, right? That's a friend. I know I can't just trust him because he's my brother. I can't just trust him because he's my neighbor. That's not enough. Again.
If thou wouldest get a friend.
But if you want a friend, if that's what you want, do you want someone you can trust? You want someone that will not sleep with your wife, that will not rob you? Do you want someone that you can rely on, depend on? That's friendship in the UPK. We're built on that. Right. That's our blood that runs through this entire school. Brotherhood, friendship. You know I love you, and I know you love me. And that is how this place works. It's you don't doubt it. You know it for a fact. If proof is required, you can have it. Everyone understands. If you want a friend, go ahead.
Prove him first.
You prove him first. You prove him. What does it mean to prove something? What's the word synonymous with proof? Test. Test. From the time you start coming to class, you're being tested. You brothers know that by now because you're not new brothers. All the time. The minute you walk in the door, they're looking at you, seeing how you move, seeing what you do. And then as you come more, the tests begin to increase and increase and increase. And then some things are just done just to see what you do. I've checked many young brothers, they barely did anything wrong. I just wanted to see what happens. That's all. I just wanted to see if they would lead the truth. So I want to see if they could take it. So I just, pick a thing that's barely something I even give a damn about. But I act like it, was that they killed Christ. Just to see what happens. Because I would much rather you leave the truth before I trust you. So let's do it now. Many of you sisters forget about it. Let me give you something I've never said in public. Listen, you ready for this here? I turn the computer off on another day. I constantly say the word for female dog when I refer to women. I'm doing it on purpose to see what women I can run out of this school. That's the point. I know you don't like it, and I'm trying to get you to leave the truth before I have to come help you with your baby and give you money for diapers and help you and find a place for you to live and cry with you on the phone at 3 a.m. Before I have to put so much work into you, I would rather run you out of here by saying a word all the time. It's easier. You get the point, all right? These things are tests, and the UPK is full of tests all the time. The Hebrew Academy, forget about it. If you might die in Hebrew Academy, it's possible. Everybody knows I'm not. You could die. You absolutely could die. It's not like a joke. Were you out there last year at the last Hebrew Academy? Jesus, we had a nurse out there, a registered nurse out there, running them. Listen, she was running people back and forth to the emergency room. Who knows what I'm talking about? Raise your hand. Running them back and forth. She had the car sitting out there. She'd take them, run them to the emergency room. We picked a place to have the trials close to an emergency room. So we can just run you back to the emergency room. We make you sign a waiver saying you agreed to the whole thing. That's what you wanted to do. These crazy cult members, I don't know what they up to out there. They all in a cult. Oh, they're dying in the woods. That's what you want to do. That's what you like. It's just to test you out, to see if you want to do it. And once again, if you young brothers, you should not sign up for Hebrew Academy or volunteer out because you could die. And this is not tough talk. This is the actual reality of it. I knew it when I was in your shoes. I understood it. But you know how I am. Moving on. All right. Next question. Go ahead. See me one more time, please. Go ahead. Last one, then we get to the topic. Go.
Sir. Sister wanted to break down Hosea chapter 2 and verse 16. A general breakdown.
Please.
In specific, it was, who is and they shall not call me Baal no more.
The Israelites shall no longer call him Baalim or Baal because that's what we were doing at one time. We were worshiping the God of Israel, calling him by another name, calling him Baal, calling him the name of other gods, and those names are not his name. So he had to make himself known to us, right? How did he do that? By killing us, by unaliving a great many of us, a great many. He did it again with the COVID-19 virus. He does it with gun violence, and mainly he uses our oppressor to unalive us. Everybody understands. All right, now we know his name. Now we know because prophets of God go out on the street and they tell the people who was the author throughout of the COVID-19 virus, who is the author of allowing our oppressor to unalive us at the rate he does it. Right? It's the Lord our God, Yahweh, not Baal, not some oppressor Jesus, not Mohammed, not blah, 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 blah. Can I go upstairs yet or not? I'm moving on. Keep going. Let's get to the topic now. Clap it up. All right. Now we're going to talk about the NAACP awards. Many of you saw that. That happened, right? The NAACP awards. Let me give you a brief recap of that. Brittany Griner came down there with her wife, and she said She wanted to make a plea for all of the people still in Russian prisons. Of course, she's making that plea from Hollywood in a beautiful suit, right? It was expensive men's shoes. And it's easy to have a plea for people to come out of jail when you were given special permission to leave jail. And there are other people who are not famous LGBTQ advocates who are sitting in Russian prisons right now, sitting there, and are not getting out. And of course, many of you might have forgotten, but Brittany Griner was released because of a trade that America had, where America released a Day of the Jackal arms dealer. There are movies made about this person that was released, an arms dealer. They've made movies about him. He is a straight up and down Day of the Jackal terrorist. And he was traded for Brittany Griner, whose average is 8 points a game. She scores about 8 points, 3 rebounds. That's her average. She was released because of that, because Brittany Griner, of course, got special consideration because she is an LGBTQ advocate and warrior and a symbol of the LGBTQ community. And for you, for my gay friends out there, can I say gay? For my alternative lifestyle friends out there watching, right? Joe Biden does not care about the alternative lifestyle community. Joe Biden uses you and manipulates you with people like Brittany Griner. He makes you think he loves you. And he knows that by trading Brittany, by allowing a terrorist to get out of jail so that Brittany Griner could come home, come election time, Brittany Griner will be home. You understand? She'll be here to get votes for the Democratic Party. And it's worth it to him because he won't even be president. While that terrorist is in jail, Joe Biden will lose the election. What difference does that make to him? He'd rather let the terrorist out of jail and have Brittany Griner out of jail so she can be an advocate for his voting. So she came up last night in the NAACP Awards and received special praise and honor. She was wearing a very, very snazzy suit and a tie, not tie, but a very snazzy suit, you know. And that was that, and with her wife. Okay, what else happened? Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade received an award for, they received an NAACP Image Award for being the parents of a transgender child, which is wild. Because I would imagine there's a lot of parents of alternative lifestyle kids, tons of them. But somehow they got an NAACP award for, I guess, raising the kid, I guess, feeding her and raising her. I don't think the kid cured cancer or nothing. I don't know if the transgender girl has done anything that is great other than just being in an alternative lifestyle. I'd imagine many people have I know from the tribe of Judah and from the Hispanics, everybody has some alternative lifestyle uncle, cousin. You all got them. I guess all of you could have got NAACP awards because you all have them in your family. And you sit there and you love them and you're nice to them and you give them food at the barbecue. You don't punch them in the face, right? I guess all of you should have an NAACP award. Well, they got an NAACP award for, I guess, raising a transgender boy who's rich beyond belief and who has no problem. And Dwayne Wade's son will never have to become a prostitute on Hollywood Boulevard. Never. Which is where transgender men end up. That's where I think about 90% of them, you might want to look that number up because it might be higher. A transgender man who is not born, a transgender woman, whatever. The transgenders, they don't end up, if your father is a basketball player, you're not going to perform oral sex on men in cars. You're not going to perform sexual acts. You're not going to perform happy times, promiscuous behaviors on people in vehicles because you're rich. So that transgender girl will never experience the real life of being transgender. because the real life of being transgender is being a sex worker. That is the actual life of a man, of a transgender woman. Does everybody know what I'm saying is true? This is common knowledge. Common knowledge. That's what they do for a living. That's where you find them. That's where they are. They're people who, come on, Yediah. What do? They are promiscuous for money. Sex workers? Listen, they make money doing where the sun don't shine. They walk the night. Damn, you died. They walk the night. They're like werewolves. They're werewolves, really. That's what they werewolves. Okay, they walk the night, making their money in the night. That will never happen to Dwayne Wade's transgender daughter. Well, anyway, they got an award for it. Now, so that's that. So now now let's go into the NAACP Awards itself. The NAACP Awards was aired on what channel? BET. BET is owned by, come on, Viacom, which is owned by white people, oppressors. Oppressors. BET is not black. BET has been white for many years. BET is white. Now, why does that matter now? Because at one time, the NAACP Awards were aired on, not VH1. What's the name of that damn? I sent it to you, did I? What's the name of it? In a text message.
It used to be TV1.
TV1. Who's heard of TV1? Raise your hand. BET for years, the NAACP Awards for years was aired on TV1. Now, the NAACP Awards refused to air their show on TV1, and they instead chose to air their show on BET. The show shrunk down to 2 hours instead of 3 hours. TV1 gave them 3 hours. And so people who you would never really see get awards would get awards on TV1 because it was a 3-hour show. And there are so many black artists, black filmmakers, black musicians that you never hear, will never get a Grammy, will never get an Oscar, but they would get awards on, they would get awards on TV1. But the NAACP Awards, they got rid of TV1, and now they're on BET, and it's 2 hours long. So many of those people you'll never see get awards because they didn't air them. Well, TV1 is owned by, who has it for me? Anyone? TV1, you can Google it. Am I up? We up?
Yes, you're going up now.
Just let me know when, all right?
Yes, come.
TV1 is owned by a black woman. A black woman whose father was a jazz singer. TV1 is a black network. And the NAACP left that black network to air their award show on a white network, which is BET, for less hours. Why? Because they made more money being on BET because of the advertising, because they could be on a network that white people watched. How is the NAACP black? Let me tell you something about rich black people. Rich black people constantly talk about supporting blackness and being black, and they're talking to you because they're not doing that. They're going to always marry a white person, shop in white businesses, support white businesses, and when they're there, they'll say, you have to love black people. That's what Gabrielle Union said. Gabrielle, come on. Am I wrong? Gabrielle Union said, all black lives have to matter. Transgender people are being hunted down like dogs. That's what she said on that TV show. So I went to look it up because Gabrielle Union was so angry because she doesn't feel that black transgenders are getting the support that other black people are getting. Who wants to guess how many black transgenders were killed last year? 32. Can you even guess how many black people who are not transgender were killed last year? How many every day, you die? I sent it to you in the text. This is one of those links. I went and looked it up.
It never stops. Killings by police reached record high in 2022. Law enforcement killed at least 1,176 people, or about 100 people a month last year.
100 people a month. Read the little block that'll tell you what those people were. It's right down there. Disproportionately. Yeah, you might see a block. Do I didn't even bring it out. It's in the story. Almost all of them were black. It was 100 people a day. Was it? You say 100 people a day? 100 people every day. Every day last year. That's what's happening. There's no more kneeling because of Jay-Z. But 100 people have been killed by the police. I'm not counting the murders in the black community. I'm not counting the Hispanic murders, which would blow your mind on the border towns or in California, around California. The number would terrify you. I'm not counting them. Just by the police. You have anything? Go ahead.
From 2013 to 2022, black residents were 3 times more than likely to be killed by police than white people.
So you can just look at that number and a third of that. So just increase it 3 times. You got what the white number, 3 times as many black people were killed by the police. 100 a day. 32 transgenders were killed. Who can guess what my next question is? How many transgenders were killed by the police last year? Take a second. Give me the Jeopardy music. Alexa, play the Jeopardy music.
Here's a mix for you on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop. You sound like Dwayne Wade's daughter, like that music. Moving on. 0. 0. 0 in the last 10 years. 0 transgenders have been unalived by the police. Do you know what that means? You want to be really heartbroken and sad tonight? Then who can tell me what that means? Because it'll break your heart. And maybe it's why Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are very, very encouraging of their transgender daughter. Maybe they love their daughter. They might even love their daughter more than I love my children. More than I love any of mine. It's possible. Who wants to give me the sad truth? Do you have it, New York?
Is it safer to be transgender as to be black?
Give him a hand. Here's the truth of being transgender. If your son puts on lipstick and a wig and a dress and drives in that car, your son is safer than all of mine. You understand? He's safer. Because Trayvon Martin was killed for having on a black hoodie. He wasn't killed for having a dress on. If your son puts on a dress, then your son might live. Fool that I am. I would rather my children die than compromise their masculinity.
Right.
I would rather they died than do that. I'll tell you a quick truth. I'm sorry. I would rather they be unalive. Am I already cut off? I would rather they be unalive. I tell you, you know Captain Ariad, right? Captain Ariad, we named him after Chief Head Priest Ariad in New York. And that's who I named Ariad after, right? And I remember he was very, very young. When he was, growing up and he was like 13, he was going outside. And he was, I knew he was at the age where I had to have the talk with him about the police and being unalived. And he was going to school and he might encounter, fights and get in fights and have to defend himself. If you're a young black man, you know what I'm talking about. There's a talk. If you're a father, there's a talk when your son goes to school because you know that in that high school, in that grade school, he is going to get in a fight. You know that he is going to get pulled over. You know he is going to encounter the police in some way. So first I told him how to behave with the police, how not to be afraid to go to jail. Just go to jail. Put your hands behind your back, go to jail, I'll come pick you up. No problem. It's fine. You don't have to fight. Don't run from the police, which is weak to run from the police. It means you're afraid to what? Get booked? What are you running from the police for? For your fear of getting booked? Get booked. Go to jail. That's UPK. We know how to go to prison. We can do it. I've seen Commander Giuliani do it. He went and just walks in there and just goes to prison and gets out. And that's all. Don't have a son that's afraid to go to jail, because children afraid to go to jail run from the police, fight the police, and they get killed. So you want your son, the police say, I'm locking you up. Let's go. Let's go to jail. Yeah, I'm fine. I'll go there. It's not the first time I'll be. It won't be the last. So let's just go to jail. That saves his life, right? The second thing I told young Aria is, if there comes a time and you know that you might have to put your life on the line for your integrity, for what you believe, for what is true, you have my permission to risk your life. It is better that you die than that you compromise your integrity. That's an actual talk we had. I did that because, of course, I knew who he was named after and how important it was and the type of man I could raise. And I had to raise. It was my obligation to raise someone like that. Now, clearly, I am not as good a father as Dwayne Wade, because Dwayne Wade's son will never risk getting killed by the police. He won't die. He's going to go and travel and come and go. And the police will never kill Dwayne Wade's daughter. Never. Fool that I am, I count some things more important than life. I pray you understand. We good here? With that, pass the class over to the precinct officer in the back.
We are the ISUPK.
I'll walk on you up. Barack.
We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, New York.